Hello everyone and welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to install a reduced hammer spring for your AR15. Now this spring is only going to work on Mil-Spec triggers or the standard lower parts kits that you get when you get an AR15. If you have one of those triggers that's a complete drop-in solution, it's a can solution and it just drops right in, you take out the guts of your rifle and drop it right in. This is not a spring for you. This is for the basic rifles that we all buy and basically what comes with your rifle. So if you haven't upgraded your trigger in your rifle, this spring is for you. Now it's going to work on both single and double stage triggers. Right now we have the stock setup in here, as you can kind of see, and this is my ghost gun lower, the 80% lower. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link to that here. But basically we're going to install that bad boy. So I'm going to cock the hammer here, and I'm going to use my scale. I'm going to try to catch the hammer so it doesn't fall flat, and we're going to put the scale on the trigger and we're going to pull it and see how many pounds the stock trigger's pulling. So we're getting about 7, looks like about a little under 7 pounds on that one. So we'll reset that, do it again. One's usually not a good baseline, you want to do it a couple times, try to get the feel for it. Oops, slipped out of my hand, and looks like about 7. So 7 seems to be what we're getting. So that's a stock trigger setup here. The only thing that's different with this trigger is that I've installed the adjustment grip screw, which allows to reduce the take up for the trigger itself. If you haven't seen that, I'll put a link to that here and where you can find that. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop out this hammer here. We're going to take out the pin that holds it in place, and we're going to replace the spring. This lower here has got a tactical latch, so it makes it a little difficult in getting it out. So I'm going to use my brass punch. I like using a brass punch because it doesn't mar the surfaces as much. So we're going to pop that out. Do this with the hammer down so it's like the gun just fired, it's not cocked. That way there's less stress on the spring itself. And so I'm going to press it out just a little bit more. And you notice after I took that pin out, you can kind of see it protruding out the right side over here. The hammer starts to wiggle left and right. Try to hold it up straight like it was still in place. This will help with pulling that pin out, because I'm going to pull the pin out now. Actually, I need to push it out a little bit more. I can't get enough finger on it. So wiggle the hammer, try to get it lined up, and we'll press that out. If you don't have this stupid tactical latch on the side, you can just push it right out with your punch. It's no big deal. Keep in mind the spring is under tension at this point right here, so you want to hold on to it, because once this pin comes out the side over here, the hammer's going to want to just bounce right out. So I'm going to pull the pin, and then I'm going to pull the hammer out. So here's our spring. This is our stock GI spring, or Mil-Spec, however you want to call it. Note the orientation when you take it out, so you can put the new spring in the exact same way. So we're going to pop this off by simply grabbing hold of one of the coils, pulling on it, and pulling it off to the side like so. So here's our hammer. I'll take our reduced power spring and I'll slide it on in the opposite manner we just did. So here's our spring set. We're going to take this, we're going to slide it in here. Notice the two ears, or the two ends of the spring, go right along the trigger inside there. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to bend it just like it was in the non-cocked position, if you will, and try to get that hole to line up so that the hammer will line up in the hole. You kind of see it moving around in there. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to slide the pin in and get it started on this side over here. Careful not to force it in there, because if you do make it all the way through, you are banging on the aluminum on the other side of the gun. So I'm just gently hitting it with my hammer here, and I'm wiggling the hammer to try to get it to line up on the other side. I can't see it because of that stupid tactical latch. I really need to take that off. So there we go. So now our pin's nice and flush. In fact, it came out just a tiny bit over here. Alright, so pin's nice and flush. Cock it. Get our scale on it. So 4 pounds, pulling just a little over 4 pounds that time. So we were at 7 a minute ago, so we've already taken it down to 4. So that's a 3 pound reduction. Not too bad. We'll do it a second time, see if it stays the same. Yep, still at 4. So there we go, just a reduced hammer spring on your AR15. This is truly what I call the poor man's trigger job. So I'll put links to where you can get the adjustment grip screw and the reduced hammer spring in the video description below. And as always, thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video.